Hello, my name is Dana, and we're going to show you how to make a debris hut here today. I'm going to engage a time-lapse video as we complete this debris hut, and you get to see the whole thing without having to sit through like a 45-minute video. Alright, so let me just describe this real quick to you. You can see I already made an area. There's a bunch of hay fields around here, a bunch of horse pasture, so I went and grabbed a bunch of grass. You know, it's January here in Rhode Island, the ground's frozen. You want to make sure you're insulated from the ground. So what I did is I just quickly threw some grass in there. The more debris and the more stuff you add to this, it can get pretty heavy, so you want to make sure that it's pretty well supported to begin with. A mistake I've made in the past with these is making them just big enough to fit just me in, and of course then you get just me in there and then you don't have any place to put any stuff, and you can't really roll over, and you know, it's in a survival situation, that's fine. If you're talking about living in one of these things for more than a few days, you want to have a little bit of space for not just your body, but also for the insulation, for some bedding, for some materials you might want to bring in with you. Survival is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be an ordeal. Like, you know, you watch Bear Grylls running around the slopes and, you know, eating heads off of fish and stuff like that and talking about how hard it is. Well, it's not how it's supposed to be. You know, it's not really a battle with nature. It's kind of like immersing yourself in nature. So if you remember that, your survival experience, of course, will be much more enjoyable. And, you know, you might say, why do I have a house? I don't need this house. I found a piece of cedar, which is really ideal because it's got a little bit of an arc to it. All right, so it'll help me shed some water, give me a little bit more space to put insulation on the inside or over like a straight pole. This is the area. I got tons of debris. You know, lots of leaves. It's January, so the leaves came down not too long ago. So I really have everything I need here. And of course, you can see how we've got a lot of down trees, especially right over there. You know, we've had 3 major blizzards and a hurricane all in the past year. So there is no shortage of down materials to construct a shelter from here. This shelter's a little big. This is actually a 2-person debris hut with a extension for some materials or some gear up in the front. This would be a long-term shelter. If you were in a survival situation, you'd want to build something a little quicker. I mean, at its base, all you really need to do is make a pile of material and climb into it. You might not have the most comfortable, warm night, but you'll survive. At this point, I have gone inside the shelter and I've looked up and noticed that there's some light coming through, so there's definitely some areas that still need some material. What I'll probably do over the next few days is, as this material settles, I'll continue to add material to the top of it until we have a nice tight seal. If you had a bunch of people and you all needed shelter, help each other, you know, all get together and build one hut at a time, and that way at least you can cycle people in and out of the finished hut to warm up. It's amazing how fast these go. When I was taking class in New Jersey, we built, as a group, we built one of these huts less than 15 minutes. I mean, it was amazing how fast it happened. I never went more than 100 feet for any piece of material for this debris hut. Everything came from right here in this circle. And as every time I build one of these, I learn some stuff. I learned this time that, you know, I was trying to collect material in the open areas, but actually the tighter areas where there's some vines and some briars really hold leaves, and when I started raking in some of those areas, I found it went much faster. Gathering the debris is the slowest part of the whole process. So I finished up. I got a pile of door plug material here, so basically what happens is you foot first into the shelter and then you gather all this material outside your door and you plug the hole with it, and that insulates you from the elements outside. Rule of thumb is the thickness of the debris should be the distance from the tip of your finger to your armpit. So basically, you should be able to stick your whole arm into your shelter and just touch the inside ribs right about at your armpit. Steepness is key. You want the steeper your shelter, the steeper the pitch, the more water you'll shed, and that's a good thing. If you have your door and a whole broadside of your shelter facing the southwest sun and exposed to the sky, you'll really gain a lot of heat in the afternoon from that sun. And if you're a little squeamish about the bugs and the critters and all the creepy crawlies that are in the dirt, what you can do is you can make a smudge pot, with some leaves and some other wet smoky stuff. Put a couple coals in the smudge pot and stick it in your shelter and close the door plug. And wait until you see smoke coming out through all these leaves. And you want to leave it in there for a little while, a good 5 or 10 minutes, but you want to be really careful not to set your shelter on fire. You don't want a fire, you just want smoke. It's funny, if there are a lot of critters, you can actually see them hopping out of your shelter and going away. And it lasts for a while, that smoke smell lingers. And I would like it a lot if anyone built their own debris huts, post it. Let's see if we can learn from each other. Every time I see somebody build one of these, it's different. I've never seen two of the same. If you have a really good idea, post it. Say, hey, try this, or here's a debris hut I built with this attachment on it, or my door plug, that worked really good for me was this. Every situation is different. Every locale is different. Here in Rhode Island, we're fortunate to have some really brushy woods, which are just perfect for building these things. Look around. Whatever you need, it's there. I guarantee you it's there. You just have to look.